Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
You know, it's so good to see you, although, you know, you've lost so much weight, I'm seeing less of you, and you're so healthy. And this EP that you put out, I just love. One more time before you go, a tribute to Tony Rice.
Yeah, over the end of 2020, we lost one of the greats, and he was easily the driving force of influence in my musical career. So with Tony's passing, it seemed fitting to pay my respects with a little bit of music.
Well, and you found some good friends to join you on this also. We were just talking about the tracks. I mean, I love all of the music on here, but probably one of my favorites with Billy Strings, Where the Soul of Man Never Dies.
Yeah, Soul of Man was a perfect song for Billy, and really his suggestion. You know, we had a few songs in the pot, and that he brought that one up, and it made perfect sense. I was dying for a chance to play some mandolin on this as well, and you know, I wasn't going to strap a guitar on with Billy out there, so so I played a little mandolin, and you know, we sat down, recorded it live. I mean, we just had fun. We spent the day and jammed a little bit and captured that song.
Well, and you have so many other guests that came on here also.
I was very fortunate to have a lot of people that I feel like, you know, Tony's influence spread quite a bit throughout the younger generations, and even though you don't necessarily hear it spot on right at first, people like Molly Tuttle, Billy Strings, Gavin Largent, you know, there's just so much influence. They all have completely unique right hands. They do it their own way, but if you listen, you still hear Tony's fingerprints on that stuff.
That is so amazing. And you were telling us before we got in the studio too about the story, you know, before you were even part of Union Station with Alison Kraus, how you ended up getting to hang out and jam with Tony Rice.
One of my first experiences with Tony, no kidding. This was now, we're going back a lot of years. This is when Alison and Union Station, I think they were recording Every Time You Say Goodbye record. This was before I joined the band, but I think Tony had reached out to her and said, hey, we're jamming tonight. You want to come and jam? And she said, oh, we're busy, but I have Dan over here. Would you like to, you know, he'd love to jam. And so Tony came over and picked me up at the studio where we were and took me to John Hartford's house with John Hartford and himself and Vassar Clemens. And I had the jam session of my life, you know, as a young musician, just starry-eyed, looking at my heroes, you know, hanging out there, you know, trying not to fall over.
And you learned how to shape guitar picks.
And he taught me how to make a pick. Yeah, he gave me, you know, pick shaping 101 with a little pocket knife out of his pocket and a little piece of tortoiseshell, and he showed me, you know, his system if I made it, and I've done it that way ever since.
Well, you know, and you have played with so many incredible artists of all genres over the years. I mean, we mentioned Alison, but also, you know, with Dolly, with Rob Thomas, all these incredible musicians. But now also, you put together a hot band of your own.
Oh gosh, the band that I have right now, the current version of the Dan Tyminski Band, is probably its best incarnation overall. I mean, it's everyone is so great. I have a really young band. I mean, my band, they're all the ages of my children. You know, my kids are actually older than some of my band. But when you listen and you watch them play, there's nothing young about the way they play. They're seasoned. They are all kind of in their own best of show category, and together, they play like no one else. It's just fantastic to stand in between. So, I mean, I've been very spoiled for a very long time. I mean, you know, Union Station, arguably the best band in history in this genre of music. I mean, I've been so fortunate to get to play with those guys, but I never thought I'd be so happy, you know, playing with other people as well, you know, because there's still a little Union Station music coming too. You know, we haven't cashed it in,
right.
But the Dan Tyminski Band right now has been my focus, and they're just phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, you know, speaking of phenomenal, you and I were talking too. I love the cover of the new album because it was so eye-catching when I first got it, and you were explaining to me why these particular pieces, objects, are on the cover.
They're just things that Tony loved, you know, through my lifetime of getting to know Tony. You know, he loved Space View watches, you know, he loved herringbone guitars. He loved Neumann microphones, you know, high-end Neumann, you know, large diaphragm mics. And more than anything, you know, the tortoiseshell, most important piece to me in there is just that little piece of tortoiseshell, because when you get to spend some time with someone like that and they give you a little piece of themselves and teach you a little bit of what they do, that stays with you, man, and that's still with me.
That is amazing. It means so much, you know, and so many of us, you know, became aware of you and your music back with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You know, and it's like, you know, that really, and obviously, you know, a great career, you know, before that, and, you know, growing musically. But that, I mean, every time I hear that song and I hear something about that movie, I think about you.
Well, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things. I mean, again, that came up, and we were, when I say we, Allison and Union Station, we wanted to be a part of that soundtrack because we're big Coen Brothers fans, and of course T-Bone Burnett and everyone involved. But when we made that music and then saw how it was embraced by the rest of the world, the high point of my musical life, I mean, to watch that many new people be introduced to bluegrass and acoustic and just roots music in general. And that song still, now we were talking before, 20 plus years old, and the cell phones still come out every night when, I've played that song every show for 20 years. I hope I get 20 more, play, because it's still one of those highlight moments. People, when they have such a connection to a song like that, yeah, man, they want to hear it. I mean,
it just gives you goosebumps.
Oh, we're playing the Grand Ole Opry, this evening, and don't think we're going to skip out on that one, man. Man of Constant Sorrow is part of the show. That's just how it has to go.
It's just so amazing. I mean, and 14 Grammys. And I know the Grammys don't mean as much to you as foosball awards or your golf trophies and everything, but I mean, not a lot of people can claim that, Dan.
No, they're very important. They're I've been so fortunate in my career to keep the type of company that can allow something like that to happen. Let's be honest, Alison Kraus and Union Station, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, there were a lot of outside, I had a lot of help with that. But, the Grammys, it's fantastic to have, but I do have to confess that, yeah, if you walked into my house, you might not see those. You might see a couple foosball trophies, stuff that, the really important things, that you have to stay with,
That you're proud of, just like you're golfing.
It's hard to believe. I might have more hours on a foosball table than I do on a guitar. So it's
wow.
Yeah, I had a misguided youth that spent a lot of time playing table soccer. Yeah.
I'm not going to challenge you on that. There's no way.
I've got you.
Yeah, I think so. Well, speaking of which, I've heard rumor that you've been back in the studio and that you may have a new album coming out in early 2023.
Oh man, I've just completed 15 tracks with the new band, and 14 original songs and one song that people might recognize. I'm gonna put it in the category of probably it's my best solo work yet for sure. I mean, I can't imagine being more proud of a compilation of music. Partly because I'm the writer of all this stuff, so I'm a little more closely connected or a little more closely tied than I might be to some of the other music I recorded. But the other part, and just what a great band I got to do this with. I mean, I love them outside of music as well. They're the best people and musically phenomenal. So yeah, there's a new record. Definitely be looking for the new record. It's got a bunch of stuff. I mean, whether you like the progressive or the traditional or the prog grass or trad grass, what all the names that they have. There's a little something for everybody, and it's I'm calling it out. It's going to be one of my best.
Well, I'll tell you what. Every time I've seen you on stage, what I've always appreciated, no matter what instrument you're playing, singing, being a part of, you have fun on stage and you bring a fire and a passion to it. And so it's not like passive music, Dan. I think that's why I've always appreciated you so much. You're going for it. You're on fire.
I love it. I mean, it's, you spend a lifetime in a bedroom practicing, some people do that and then they step on stage and they don't necessarily like the thought of having to translate that now to people. I absolutely do like the thought of that. I think it's so much fun to be able to get to bring a live version of music to people. Right. Yeah, I absolutely do. People say, is that real? Are you really that happy when you're smiling? I'm like, if I were smiling and I wasn't happy, you could tell, because it would be like,
yeah, it'd be that fake smile.
It would be that fake smile. No, everybody sees through that stuff. No, if you have good people on stage with you, if you love the people you're with and you're playing music that you love, oh yeah, you better be happy while you play.
It's just amazing. Well, I want to make sure too for our viewers, Dan, that they know where to go for your website, for social. I know you guys are touring a bunch. You got
Absolutely,
a huge tour
yeah.
and everything. Where do they need to go?
DanTyminski.com is going to be your number one place, but check us out on Instagram. Again, Dan Tyminski at Instagram. Just wherever you find your music, go look for some Dan Tyminski music, and keep your eyes open for the new one. I really am excited. I do want to say, once again, hard to have a band that you feel so strongly about, when you've had such a career as mine. But the new guys, they're young, they're hot. Look for them.
That's why you got to stay in shape.
I want to get, yeah, well, I'm trying to stay in shape. I'm trying to keep up with them, man. I'm trying to get another good 10 years. I want 10 more good ones.
Yeah.
I want 10 more good, healthy years where I can keep doing it because, again, it's what I do. It's what I love.
Well, I think you're doing it. I'll tell you what, I love this new album. Be sure and get your own copy of it, whether you get the CD, whether you add it to your playlist or whatever. It is, one more time before you go, a tribute to Tony Rice. Dan Tyminski, the Dan Tyminski Band is out on the road. You want to catch them. And thank you so much for joining us on the
I'm so
Rock
happy
Review.
to be here. Thank you for having me.
We'll have you back with a new album.
All right.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.